brace yourselves. Brace yourselves.
Welcome. Do we call you Duchess? Oh, call me Meghan.
Cringe, Kinsey, as if the whole episode couldn't get a lot worse than Prince Harry has to even phone in.
Hi, my love.
Good
Hi. My husband's here.
Prince Harry and Meghan Markle are living separate lives as the mean girl Meghan exposed once more during her Sunday appearance on MasterChef.
For weeks, MasterChef Australia had been building toward one of the most important challenges of the season. Only 4 semi-finalists remained. Every plate mattered. Every mistake could change the competition, and each contestant was supposed to be fighting for a place near the final. Then a phone rang in the middle of judging. The cameras turned toward Meghan Markle. She smiled, greeted the caller with, "Hi, my love." And suddenly Prince Harry was appearing on a screen inside the MasterChef kitchen.
No way. Let's go live to Reed Butler in LA. Reed, just how on earth did this happen?
I know, what a coincidence, right? Thank goodness the team at MasterChef were filming for that totally random and natural, unscripted moment when Harry called Meghan.
The contestant standing in front of the judges had just presented a dish inspired by his grandmother. It was exactly the kind of emotional, personal story Meghan had spent the episode asking the cooks to deliver. Yet the second Harry appeared, that family moment vanished into the background. The room cheered. The judges leaned closer. Meghan began introducing her husband. The food waited. And that one interruption ended up revealing more about the entire episode than any ingredient on the bench.
Sorry to interrupt. We've had a phone call to studio.
Hi, my love.
Meghan had arrived as the featured celebrity guest. The challenge had been designed around her taste, her lifestyle image, and her royal title. But the scene that instantly became the headline did not come from her food knowledge or judging. It came from Harry. The program presented the call as a spontaneous surprise. Harry even asked whether he had interrupted anything. He had. They were in the middle of tasting a semi-final dish.
That gives producers a cute television moment, but more importantly, it reminds everybody why Meghan is ultimately there in the first place, because of who she married. Otherwise, what qualifies her to be on that show in that position?
If the call was genuinely private, it could have happened later. If it was urgent, it probably would not have turned into a cheerful television cameo. And if nobody expected it, the production still managed to have the phone ready, the sound clear, the cameras positioned, and the entire room prepared to stop at exactly the right moment. Nobody outside the production can prove the call was planned. But viewers could see how polished the scene looked, and Australian morning television noticed it too.
Call me cynical, but I don't believe for a second that Prince Harry just happened to FaceTime Meghan Markle while the cameras were rolling. I think we've watched Meghan operate long enough to know that very little about the presentation of brand Meghan is accidental. She's a total control freak, if I'm being like the nicest way I could possibly say it.
A Today Show Australia report openly mocked the timing, sarcastically acting amazed that the MasterChef cameras just happened to be filming when Harry called during judging. That reaction did not come from an anonymous royal source or a hostile commentator. It came from mainstream Australian television responding to the footage that had actually aired. By the next day, the winning technique and the strongest plate were not leading the discussion. Harry's surprise appearance was. That was a problem, because the episode had worked extremely hard to present Meghan as the star.
This Meghan Markle MasterChef monstrosity.
Before we continue, I want to mention something really quick. Organizing your family's important information is one of those things most of us know we should do, but we keep putting it off. That's exactly why there's the Family Vault. It gives you one place to organize your important documents, insurance, medical information, passwords, and more, so everything is easy to find when it's needed. You'll find the link in the description, or you can scan the QR code on your screen. That's all. Now, let's get back to today's story. Before she entered the kitchen, the judges described the mystery guest in language normally saved for a major celebrity chef or international legend. The final 4 were told that a global icon, humanitarian, and woman recognized around the world was about to walk through the doors. The contestants looked stunned. Dramatic music played. Meghan entered dressed in black, and the studio reacted as though royalty had arrived.
Welcome. Do we call you Duchess? Oh, call me Meghan.
Then, almost immediately, the show introduced its first contradiction. A judge asked whether they should call her Duchess. Meghan said they should simply call her Meghan. It was the relaxed answer the episode wanted. Approachable, casual, Californian Meghan, ready to discuss vegetables, family memories, and the emotional power of food.
Sources claim that there were moments from filming that won't be aired due to Yao and Markle's personality differences. Poe is full of energy. She's always joking and lifting the mood. She tried to bring that same spark with Meghan, cracking a few playful lines. But not all of it landed as intended.
But seconds later, the contestants were given a challenge built entirely around the title she had just played down. They were not told to prepare a dish for Meghan. They were told to make a dish fit for a duchess. That difference was not accidental. The royal connection was the entire selling point. The grand introduction, the contestants' shocked faces, the repeated references to her status, and the theme of the challenge all depended on the very title Meghan supposedly did not need anyone to use.
And this is just, I don't think really Meghan. I don't think she likes this. I don't think she enjoys any part of really being in the kitchen much. And she tries to sell this so incredibly badly, and it's just not working.
So the episode tried to sell two versions of her at once. There was Meghan, the down-to-earth home cook who wanted everyone to relax and use her first name. And there was the Duchess of Sussex, whose title transformed an ordinary guest challenge into a major television event. The second version was clearly the one production valued most. That contradiction became even more noticeable because of the controversy that appeared before the episode aired. Reports claimed Meghan's team had been unhappy after Judge Po Ling-yo used the word royalty while promoting the appearance.
Food and cooking to me is really a love language. I think it's such a great way to connect. It's something that can feel sentimental and meaningful, and it's how I show my nurturing and love for my friends, family, and my kids.
She's not doing this for the money. Don't even suggest it, Tash. She's not doing this for the money. She's doing this because it is her love language, okay?
Meghan's representatives pushed back on the suggestion of a serious conflict and said she had enjoyed a wonderful day with the contestants and judges. The broadcast showed no argument. Meghan and Poe smiled, hugged, and appeared completely comfortable together. But the finished program made the reported protocol issue seem even harder to understand. MasterChef could advertise a challenge called A Dish Fit for a Duchess. The judges could introduce Meghan with her title. The contestants could react to her as a royal celebrity.
She's really bad at acting. And I find it fitting, the thumbnail they chose for this, because she's doing this. She's doing this. Like, the manic expression and the fakery there. You can feel it just in that expression. It's almost as if they are subtly shading her, which I think they are.
The whole episode could be wrapped in royal imagery. Yet one use of the word royalty was reportedly treated as a problem. That does not look like a simple desire to be called Meghan. It looks like a carefully controlled brand where the title can be used when it adds value, but the language around it must still follow rules that nobody else completely understands. Once the contestants began cooking, Meghan moved into the lifestyle personality she has been developing through With Love, Meghan and her wider brand.
Well, hello.
I told you wouldn't forget this.
She talked about being a California girl. She said she enjoyed lighter food, citrus, herbs, grilled fish, seasonal produce, and the farm-to-table style associated with the state. She described food as a love language and encouraged the cooks to connect their plates to memories, heritage, and the people they cared about. Everything sounded warm and camera-ready, like narration from a polished lifestyle program.
Meghan Markle's long-awaited appearance on MasterChef Australia has just been released ahead of its air date. And let me tell you this, it is just as nauseating and as diabolical as you can imagine.
This was not a relaxed garden lunch, where a beautiful table and a sentimental story were enough. These four cooks were competing under pressure. They needed to manage technique, timing, temperature, texture, flavor, and presentation while fighting for immunity at a critical stage of the season. What they mostly received from Meghan were motivational phrases. Cook from the heart. Make it meaningful. Have fun. Tell a story. Find a personal connection. Those ideas are not wrong.
She is just nails down a chalkboard for me because there's nothing about her that's real. every time you see her do a speech, every time you see an appearance from her, she's a completely different personality.
Great food often does carry memory and emotion, but in a high-level competition, encouragement is not the same thing as culinary direction. When Meghan walked from station to station, she praised concepts, admired knife work, reacted enthusiastically, and reassured the contestants. At one point, she personally visited every bench to tell each cook that 30 minutes remained.
Prince Harry has made an unexpected cameo on Australian television, video calling his wife Meghan midway through filming.
A single announcement would normally have been enough. Instead, the warning became 4 separate Meghan scenes, as the cameras followed her from bench to bench. It felt more like television choreography than essential judging. The ingredient table followed the same formula. Meghan introduced lemons, honey, strawberries, macadamia nuts, Brussels sprouts, and other seasonal produce that fit her California image.
Because if they have to edit the hell out of a show because of personality mismatch, things are not good.
She mentioned that Brussels sprouts were popular in her household, and the line became one of the promo's most repeated details because it offered another glimpse into the Sussex home, not because it changed the challenge. Before the complete episode was even broadcast, critics were already mocking the edible flowers, the constant smiling, the speech about love language, and the domestic comments. They argued that Meghan was performing the image of a food expert rather than proving it.
And this is a woman that, turned around and said, actually, I'm too busy to cook, but I do really know how to make a takeaway look pretty. Let me guess, sprinkle some flower petals on it.
The full episode gave her more room than the promo, but it did not completely answer that criticism. The contestants eventually produced serious dishes. One of the boldest ideas involved celeriac ice cream, a risky element the cook admitted he had never made before. It was inventive, technically difficult, and strong enough to help secure immunity. That result was important because it showed what actually decides MasterChef. Technique, execution, balance, risk.
Nothing but drama and toxicity follows this woman everywhere.
The contestant, who most perfectly repeated Meghan's emotional message, did not automatically win. The strongest result came from someone who made a difficult culinary choice and delivered it under pressure. That is exactly how the competition should work. Flavor should beat branding. Skill should matter more than a polished speech about memories. But it also exposed Meghan's limited role in the judging. The regular MasterChef judges handled the serious culinary analysis.
Terrible, inauthentic actress. Al, according to Taz, replied, mean girl energy.
They evaluated the execution, questioned the decisions, and explained why certain elements succeeded. Meghan provided enthusiasm, reaction shots, personal stories, and broad encouragement. She was the public face of the challenge, but she was not the culinary authority carrying it. That does not mean she behaved badly. She remembered names, appeared engaged, and spoke kindly to the contestants. 2 finalists later called her kind, confident, genuine, and able to make them feel calmer. One also said she spoke intelligently about food.
Meghan Markle may have thought her appearance on Australian MasterChef would help, propel her image as a chef, and yet somehow the appearance has turned into master mess.
Those direct comments deserve to be taken seriously. But Meghan could have been pleasant and supportive while the production still gave her too much attention and gradually pushed the contestants into the background. Both things can be true. The problem was never that she smiled at the cooks or offered encouragement. The problem was that the episode repeatedly instructed the audience to be impressed by her.
I don't know why anyone would watch, and I guarantee you it's going to be an absolute ratings flop because Meghan is nasty.
The opening called her a global icon. The challenge emphasized the Duchess title, the contestants discussed her aura, and the judges praised her throughout. Every exchange was admiring and safe. Then Harry appeared and completed the royal package. One review described the broadcast as a gush fest, and that description is difficult to dismiss. There was almost no friction, challenge, disagreement, or uncertainty surrounding Meghan.
She's not engaged in cooking, and she's trying so exceptionally hard that it could not look more forced. Meghan Markle needs to give up on this dream on somehow having a chef career or something and try to do something that's a little bit more in her wheelhouse.
Even though this was a competition built around pressure, the celebrity guest remained protected inside a bubble of praise. That is why the earlier reports about Poe and possible awkward moments still linger around the episode. Some claims suggested jokes had not landed, personalities had clashed, and uncomfortable footage was removed. Meghan's side rejected the darker version and described the day as joyful. The final broadcast cannot prove what happened outside the scenes that were selected. Television is an edited product. Viewers received the cleanest possible version of the visit. Poe was gracious, Meghan looked delighted, and nobody challenged her or appeared irritated.
Just go with the flow. And Meghan can't do that. The moments that didn't work on camera were cut out in editing, which means there were probably a lot of them.
If uncomfortable moments existed, production did not show them. If the rumors were exaggerated, the broadcast offered no support for them. Either way, it was an extremely controlled appearance, and it still created backlash. Not because she yelled at a judge, faced a contestant's rebellion, or exposed a huge behind-the-scenes scandal. The backlash came because the image management was visible on screen.
I'm really excited. It's my love language. Oh God, it's so vomit-inducing. I've never known anybody to be so fake.
Meghan said to call her by her first name, while the entire challenge depended on calling her a duchess. She appeared as a serious food personality, but most of her advice remained emotional and general. She encouraged the contestants to center their personal stories, only for her husband's cameo to interrupt one of the most personal tastings of the episode. She entered as the main attraction, yet Harry generated the moment everyone discussed. There was another revealing detail in the way Meghan presented her own history with food.
Will MasterChef get an Emmy for this as well? I don't know. We're about to find out.
On MasterChef, she spoke about California produce, her mother's cooking, and being exposed to fresh, farm-to-table ingredients from an early age. In a different program, she had described herself as a latchkey child who often ate fast food and frozen television dinners before later teaching herself how to cook. Those two experiences can exist in the same childhood. A family can have home-cooked meals on some days and convenience food on others. The stories do not automatically prove dishonesty. But Meghan has a pattern of highlighting whichever version of her past best matches the brand she is promoting at that moment. When the story requires self-reliance, she becomes the child of television dinners who taught herself everything.
In between your conversations about how bad your finances are, that's my love language, Harry. Look, this is going to be an absolute disaster.
When the story requires natural culinary credibility, she becomes the California girl shaped by beautiful produce and a talented mother in the kitchen. The details shift. The image remains perfectly suited to the project. That is why the Harry call mattered so much. It cut through the carefully assembled food identity and exposed what still creates the strongest reaction around Meghan: royal access. Harry stayed on the screen only briefly. Meghan told him the contestants had prepared impressive food. They discussed a spicy sauce, and she joked that it might be too hot for him. Harry apologized again for the interruption, said things were fine where he was, and ended the call.
Meghan Markle made one of the co-hosts cry over the use of the word royalty, which is utterly bizarre as Meghan is obsessed with her own title.
The judges called him charming. The contestants looked amazed. The energy in the room completely changed. Meanwhile, Aaron's dish and the story about his grandmother had been pushed to the side. Meghan had asked the cooks to bring their families, memories, and emotions onto the plate. Aaron did exactly that. But when his family's story reached the judging table, production decided that a glimpse of Meghan's marriage was more valuable. From a television perspective, they were probably right. The Harry clip traveled further than any technical discussion in the episode. News sites repeated it. Social media argued over whether it was sweet, staged, or both. The cameo became the easiest scene to package and share.
The narcissism and the lack of perspective from this woman is astounding. Let's not forget that Meghan Markle has a well-established track record of bullying.
But that created a brutal message for Meghan's attempted reinvention. She had been invited as an independent lifestyle figure. The appearance was supposed to show that she could command a major television event through her own personality, taste, and growing food brand. Yet the biggest moment still required the prince. Meghan's comments about pesto, carrots, flowers, and fresh produce were instantly overshadowed when Harry's face appeared. That is the trap surrounding almost every major Sussex project. Meghan wants to be seen as a businesswoman and media personality who stands on her own. But the royal connection continues to be the most valuable and marketable part of the package.
And I don't feel good about it already. But yeah, she's just so unbelievably fake.
Before we continue, one quick thing. One thing I've realized is that most families don't have their important information organized in one place. That's exactly why I recommend the Family Vault, a simple, printable, and fillable organizer where you can keep everything from important documents and insurance to medical information, passwords. You'll find the link in the description, or you can simply scan the QR code on your screen. Now let's get back to today's story. MasterChef itself proved that. She was not invited because she had owned a restaurant, trained in an elite kitchen, won a cooking competition, or built decades of professional culinary experience. She was invited as Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, the star of a Netflix lifestyle series. Her title opened the door. Harry created the headline. Supporters can fairly argue that celebrity guests are not expected to match the permanent judge's technical background. MasterChef often uses famous visitors to inspire a theme and attract viewers. But this episode surrounded Meghan with language suggesting authority and special insight, then showed that the experienced judges and the contestants' techniques still carried the competition. She looked polished, prepared, and friendly, yet more like the host of a branded lifestyle segment than a judge at a crucial stage of MasterChef. The heavier the praise became, the more noticeable that gap looked.
Why did you not prepare me for that jump scare?
Sorry.
I know. That was a lot of face. That was a lot of forehead from Prince Harry.
By the end, the episode had not delivered the disaster that some of the wildest pre-broadcast stories predicted. There was no visible screaming match. No judge openly broke down because of Meghan. No contestant confronted her. The final cut was generous and overwhelmingly positive. Yet that safe edit did not protect the appearance from criticism. It may have made the problem clearer. The show tried so hard to manufacture an effortless, lovable, relatable Meghan moment that the effort itself became visible. The royal music, title contradiction, constant praise, staged-looking time calls, and convenient interruption were all visible. Harry's ability to take over the episode from a small screen was impossible to miss. So the real question is not whether Meghan was nice to the contestants. Their own comments suggest that she was. The question is whether this appearance convinced viewers that she belongs at the center of serious food television.
Brace yourselves. Brace yourselves. The Sussex Circus from Australia continues a few months later.
After all the promotion, people did not leave the episode talking mainly about her palate, her feedback, or one brilliant observation that changed a contestant's dish. They talked about the Duchess title. They talked about the excessive praise. They talked about the suspiciously perfect call. And they talked about how 4 semi-finalists became supporting characters the moment Prince Harry appeared. This was meant to expand Meghan's lifestyle empire beyond Netflix and show that her food brand could work inside a respected global franchise. Instead, it exposed the same issue that follows the Sussexes into almost every project. The recipes are not the strongest attraction. The lifestyle advice is not the strongest attraction. The edible flowers are not the strongest attraction. The royal connection is. Meghan may have had the entire MasterChef kitchen designed around her appearance. But Harry still called in and took the final headline.